There's one question most men will never ask a woman, and the guys who do, they're the ones she can't stop thinking about, the ones she texts her friends about, the ones who turn a casual conversation into something she replays in her mind for days. Today, I'm going to tell you exactly what that question is, why it works on a psychological level, and how to use it without sounding like you're reading from a script. But here's the thing, if you're still asking, "How was your day?" and wondering why she's not opening up emotionally or sexually, this might be the most important thing you watch all year. I'm Dr. Sarah Whitman, your trusted men's health advisor, and we're diving into the psychology of female desire. We're covering 3 psychological triggers that most men completely ignore. And by the end of this, you'll understand why curiosity creates more attraction than confidence ever could. The third trigger, that's the one that separates guys she forgets from guys she can't get out of her head. Hit that subscribe button because what we're covering today isn't theory. It's based on real relationship psychology and communication research that actually works. All right, let's get into it. Most guys think attraction happens when they're impressive. They talk about their job, their accomplishments, what they've got going on. And look, there's nothing wrong with being successful. But here's what actually happens in a woman's mind when you spend the whole conversation talking about yourself. She zones out because attraction doesn't come from what you tell her about yourself. It comes from how you make her feel about herself when she's with you. And the fastest way to make a woman feel interesting, valued, and emotionally alive, ask her questions that actually matter. Not, "What do you do for work?" Not, "Where did you go to school?" Those questions keep everything safe, logical, flat. They don't create any emotional spark. But when you ask a woman about her passions, about the moments that shaped her, about what makes her feel truly alive, you're doing something completely different. You're inviting her into a deeper space, a space where she can express herself, reflect, dream, and when a woman feels understood, that's when desire starts to build. Now, here's where most guys mess this up. They think asking deeper questions makes them seem too intense, too invested, too vulnerable. But emotional questions don't show neediness. They show depth. They prove you're not afraid of real connection. And honestly, that's what separates you from every other guy who's just trying to impress her. The second thing you need to understand is this: women don't open their bodies where they can't open their hearts. I know that makes a lot of guys uncomfortable because we've been taught that attraction is about charm, bravado, maybe some physical touch. But real intimacy, it begins with emotional safety. Emotional safety doesn't mean you agree with everything she says. It doesn't mean you're soft or weak. It means she feels like she can be herself around you without being judged, pressured, or rushed. When a woman's nervous system calms down around you, when she trusts that you see her, not just her body, that's when her walls start to soften. You create that safety by listening without interrupting, by asking follow-up questions instead of redirecting everything back to yourself, by saying things like, "Tell me more about that," or "Why does that matter to you?" When you do this, she feels something rare. A man who doesn't consume her stories, but actually holds them. A man who's not intimidated by her emotions, but welcomes them. And that becomes desire. Now, the third psychological trigger, and this is critical, is understanding the difference between need and desire. Need pushes women away. Desire pulls them in. When you enter a conversation needing her approval, needing validation, desperately waiting for her to laugh at your jokes or respond to your texts, she feels that. Women can sense when a man is trying to earn worth instead of embodying it. But when you hold masculine presence, when you're grounded, comfortable in your own skin, not rushing the interaction, that's magnetic. Presence means you're not performing. You're not auditioning for her attention. You're simply there, fully there, listening without planning what to say next. You let silence breathe. You don't panic when she tests you. You stay rooted in yourself even when she's emotional. And that steadiness, that's what makes her feel safe enough to surrender into her feminine energy. Here's the thing. When you stop needing her approval, she starts desiring yours. When you're not in a hurry for her body, she naturally wants to move closer. Because the feminine opens when it feels chosen, not consumed. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Okay, this all sounds great, but what do I actually ask? That's why I put together a free guide called 20 Best Sexual Questions to Ask a Woman. These aren't surface level questions. These are conversation starters that create emotional intimacy, build sexual tension, and help you understand what she genuinely desires without any awkwardness. These questions tap into emotional connection, past experiences, fantasies, and what makes her feel wanted. You can download it for free in the description below. So, here's what I want you to remember. Attraction isn't about being perfect or having all the right answers. It's about being curious enough to ask questions that touch her inner world. It's about creating emotional safety through consistency and grounded presence. And it's about understanding that desire follows emotional connection, not the other way around. The man who gets this doesn't just get her attention, he becomes unforgettable. Because he's not chasing her, he's creating a space where she naturally wants to reveal herself emotionally and physically. Now let me take this a step deeper, because understanding this intellectually is one thing, but embodying it is where real change happens. Most men hear advice like this and immediately try to turn it into a technique. They think, okay, I'll just ask better questions, or I'll say these lines and she'll feel emotionally safe. But women don't respond to techniques. They respond to intention, energy, and consistency. You can ask all the right questions in the world, but if underneath them you're anxious, outcome-focused, or secretly hoping they'll make her like you, she'll feel the disconnect instantly. That's why this isn't just about what you ask. It's about who you are while you're asking. When you're genuinely curious about a woman, when you're relaxed enough to let the conversation unfold instead of steering it, she feels invited rather than interrogated. Curiosity has a softness to it. It says, I'm interested in you, not because I need something, but because I want to understand you. That distinction matters more than most men realize. And here's something else most guys miss. Emotional attraction builds slowly at first and then all at once. There's usually a moment, sometimes subtle, sometimes intense, where a woman feels seen in a way she doesn't often experience. It might be when you remember something she said earlier and bring it up, naturally. It might be when you reflect back what she's feeling without trying to fix it. Or it might be when you sit comfortably in silence, instead of filling the space with nervous chatter. Those moments are powerful because they're rare. Most people are waiting to talk, not truly listening. When you become the man who listens deeply, you instantly stand out. Now, let's talk about vulnerability, because this is another area where men get confused. Emotional depth doesn't mean oversharing or dumping your life story onto her. It doesn't mean confessing your insecurities on the first date or trying to bond through pain. True vulnerability is measured, it's grounded, it's knowing what to share, when to share it, and being emotionally regulated while you do. When you share something meaningful about yourself without expecting reassurance or validation, it creates balance. You're not leaning on her emotionally. You're opening a door and allowing her to step closer if she chooses. That choice is everything. Desire thrives in freedom, not pressure. This is also where masculine presence becomes crucial. Masculine presence isn't about dominance or control. It's about stability. It's about being the emotional anchor in the interaction. When she feels something strongly, excitement, uncertainty, attraction, even frustration, your ability to stay calm and centered allows her to relax into those feelings instead of suppressing them. And that's why emotional safety is so deeply tied to sexual desire. When a woman doesn't feel emotionally safe, her body stays guarded. Her nervous system is alert, scanning for judgment, rejection, or pressure. But when she feels safe, when she trusts that you won't rush her, manipulate her, or withdraw if things slow down, her body responds naturally. This is why rushing physical intimacy often backfires. The more you push, the more resistance you create. But when you slow down, when you're comfortable letting attraction build organically, you flip the dynamic. She begins to feel the pull instead of the push. Let me be very clear about something here. This doesn't mean being passive. It doesn't mean hiding your interest or acting indifferent. It means expressing desire without attachment to outcome. You can be direct and grounded at the same time. You can let her know you're attracted to her without making her responsible for validating you. There's a quiet confidence in that, and women feel it immediately. Now, let's return to the idea of questions, because this is where everything comes together. The most powerful questions aren't clever or shocking, they're sincere, they're open ended, and they invite reflection rather than performance. Questions like, what's something you've learned about yourself in the last few years? Or, when do you feel most like yourself? Or, what kind of connection do you value most with someone you're close to? These kinds of questions don't demand anything from her. They give her space to explore her own inner world. And when she does that with you, even briefly, you become associated with that feeling of depth and aliveness. That's not something she forgets easily. It's also important to understand that attraction isn't built in one conversation. It's built through patterns, through how consistently you show up, through whether your words and actions align, through whether you respect her boundaries without withdrawing your presence. Many men sabotage themselves by becoming emotionally distant the moment they don't get the response they want. They either overpursue or shut down. Both signal insecurity. Emotional maturity looks like staying steady regardless of immediate outcome. If she's enthusiastic, you enjoy it without clinging. If she's reserved, you remain warm without pushing. If she pulls back, you give space without resentment. That emotional consistency creates trust, and trust is the foundation of lasting desire. So here's the deeper truth. The question that most men never ask isn't just a sentence, it's an attitude. It's the question, who are you really, asked without agenda, asked with patience, asked with the willingness to hear the answer, even if it doesn't lead where you expect. When you become that man, conversations stop feeling like interviews or performances, they become experiences, and experiences are what people remember. That's why the men who understand this aren't the loudest, flashiest, or most impressive on paper. They're the ones women describe as feeling different, the ones they say made them feel seen, calm, and connected, the ones they can't quite explain, but can't stop thinking about either. So if you take nothing else from this, remember this. Attraction isn't something you force, it's something you allow. You allow it by being present, by being curious, by being emotionally grounded, and by creating a space where a woman feels free to show up fully as herself. Do that consistently, and you won't need tricks, lines, or scripts. Your presence will speak for you, and that's what makes a man truly unforgettable.